Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be discussing whether you should sell or hold the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Velvet Brown. The Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Velvet Brown releases tomorrow, December 21st, but the first drop should actually be tonight on the Travis Scott website via raffle. I'm going to send everyone an alert when the raffle goes up inside of my free Discord, so make sure you join if you haven't already with the link in the description below. And for early info, for shock drops and ways to make more money outside of sneaker reselling, like stock investing, consider joining the Full Endurance group on that same link below. These retail for $150, but like all Travis Scott Jordan 1s, you could expect these to be extremely profitable, but there's a lot more to it, obviously. In order to determine if the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Velvet Brown is going to be a fruitful hold or not, we will cover an estimated range or what the sneaker will settle at after the drop, and also when shipments come in, essentially the pair is going in circulation, whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even continue to decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time, and finally, what type of margin are we looking at for these in terms of holding, not the retail to resale initial margin, but rather the hold margin over X period of time. Basically, if they go up, are they going to be worth your time? Kicking it off, let's discuss the estimated range that these should be settling at. Stock on these is pretty high for a Travis Scott Jordan 1, but it's actually lower than the recent Travis Scott Jordan 1 Canary. Those had about 50,000 pairs drop on Nike Sneakers US alone, whereas these only had around 40,000 pairs dropping on Sneakers US alone. Total produced pairs is unknown, but it's likely over 100,000 pairs and below 200,000 pairs. So while stock is high, it's not the highest, so nothing really to worry about here, but we will keep it in mind for later, you'll see. As for demand, like all Travis Scott Jordan 1s, demand is extremely high, of course. Despite super high pre-sale, the sale volume is already super impressive. Not only is demand high, but it's higher than the recent Canary Jordan 1 Yellow, despite having lower stock. So that's a double positive for resale. Unfortunately, it's still far from the highest demand we've seen on Travis Scott Jordan 1s. The olive Jordan 1s that were more recent actually had more demand than these. It's actually the lowest pre-drop demand we've seen, second to the Canary Yellow ones, but it's still very high, nothing to concern about. With that said, I would obviously expect all sizes to be extremely profitable with an incredible margin. You want to go for every single size you could get. You should also try to get the preschool and toddler sizes for resale, but today we're focusing on the men's pairs. Currently, sizes 8 to 12 in men's are at an average of $406. Now, after they drop, we often see a positive impulsivity effect when prices may jump around 5 to 10% on many sneakers. When it comes to these, I am expecting a positive impulsivity effect. I think they're a bit oversold, but not more than the typical amount, hence I'd only expect around the 5% increase post-drop, nothing too significant. This would hypothetically leave the average for sizes 8 to 12 at $426, with larger sizes seeing more of the increase. Now, let's discuss what prices will look like once the shipments begin to go out in the 2 to 3 week range. During this period, the vast majority of pairs will now all be going in circulation. Normally, we see a 10% decrease in value on general releases, and even more than that, sometimes upwards of 15 to 20% on very limited collaboration sneakers like this. But for these, I'd only expect 10%, considering the prior olive pair hardly dropped in value at all during their shipment period. This would hypothetically leave prices at $383 on average. Now that the average price range at those points in time are evident though, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase from the post-shipment prices or even continue to decrease. With almost all Travis Scott Jordan 1s, pairs have not only appreciated in value over time, but they've appreciated a very impressive amount. If you had held any Travis Scott Jordan 1 colorway, you would be enjoying better returns than the average index fund in the stock market right now. However, one pair didn't see those returns, and those were the Canary Yellows, a pair that we referenced earlier in the video. Those have actually decreased in value since their drop, and it's a similar story with many other non-Jordan 1 Travis collaborations. But this is a Travis Jordan 1, and this isn't a wild colorway like the Canary Yellow Elkins High Knights. With that said, it is most probable that these will appreciate over time like all the other colorways. In fact, the recent Travis Jordan 1 Olive that dropped just in September is already starting to appreciate, despite the drop being not too long ago. With that said, I would expect these to appreciate over time, and it not to take too long at all for them to start start appreciating. Finally, regarding the hold margin on these, essentially, are these actually going to be worth your time? We've seen some pretty substantial increases over time on prior Travis Scott Jordan 1s, and any of those would have returned a super impressive ROI. We haven't seen a great ROI on the recent Olives, but obviously that's because they literally just dropped in September. They're still shaping up quite nice, just give them some time. Normally, with a high value sneaker, it's hard to see a notable ROI since they need to increase more, but so far with Travis Jordan 1s, they seem to be defying the norms. To achieve a 30% ROI, these would need to get to 500, and I think that's pretty reasonable one day in the future based on how high the prior colorways are. And even lower than a 30% ROI is still good as long as you're beating the average index fund and beating the market. Travis Jordan 1s in general just tend to be pretty reliable holds, it seems. Hence, I'd rate these above average at 7 out of 10, a really solid hold overall, with bigger size being the best, but nothing too spectacular, just definitely a great hold. If you're watching this before the drop, good luck, and remember to join my free Discord so you're notified for the raffle, shock drops, and you could get free Chick-fil-A meals too. This is to give you a taste of what the full endurance group offers because it's much more than sneaker reselling. I want to help you save and make money in numerous other ways outside of just sneakers. Other than that though, have a great rest of your day.